Welcome to Race Country Cottage, week 22, our Thai house build. Thanks for joining me. And this week it's been rain. The work site's totally muddy. Very difficult to walk around without getting tons of mud on your feet. It's been a busy week though, despite all the rain. The ceiling framework's in, the outside porches ceiling are completed. Insulation has been installed, and the lighting wires have been pulled down, ready for the ceiling in the main room. You can see behind me, the insulation's in place. We put in the Cat 6 cables to all the rooms, back to the utility room, and the backhoe was here to clean up a lot of the builder's debris around and level the land out so it drains away from the house. Anyway, join me for this week's update and get all the details, and I look forward to sharing week 23 with you next week. Cheers. So we'll start this week with some drone images of the build site. I want to apologize for the sound in the introductory clip. Technical problems hopefully have been resolved for the rest of the video. Also a bit under the weather, so apologize if the voice isn't coming across all that well. But the build site does look a tad cleaner, I would say. As I mentioned in the introduction, it's been a rainy week, so mud everywhere. Difficult to move around. So at the start of the week, the builder wanted us to confirm the colors for the house. So I've been using color boards and sample paint cans to work out the color. And the top one is the outside color, the black, the sand, and the dawn, which you can see here. Then we're going to use the black stone on the left, on the base of the house. That's just some images of what it looks like around the house. Inside, it'll be alabaster walls and a Chinese white ceiling, which you can see here, the Chinese white on top and the alabaster in the middle. And then a selection of tiles that we're using. So the house design calls for a storage room just off the carport, and the team started to build it. They're using the ACC blocks, and you can see they're just doing their standard construction method. They're using the special cement for ACC blocks. I think it measures 2.5 by 4, as I recall. So it's just a storeroom for keeping gardening equipment, tools, and the like. And it's just, as I say, adjacent to the carport. Here you can see it starting to come up. And the plinth beam has gone in after about 6 rows of blocks. So that's from the back. It calls for some glass blocks as well for light into the... So you can see the opening at the back. There'll be some 2 rows of glass blocks go in there. You can see the fellas putting them in here. And it does say just to allow extra light into the storeroom in case you're doing any work in there. There's a window, there'll be lights. So all good. The main thrust this week has been the ceiling work. As you can see from the plan here, the different colors represent different types of gyprock. So they use cement board for the soffits. They use a moisture resistant for the porch ceilings, and then a normal gyprock for the internal house ceilings. And obviously the mud that they used and the tape to fill the holes in the joints. So the team finished off the ceiling framework using the C channels. So internally and externally, that was all completed. I think Monday they completed that, and then they started on the soffits around the house. Here you can see them at the side of the house installing the cement board onto the C-channel. It's screwed in. Unfortunately, there's a lot of rain all week, big storm, but because they're working undercover, no problem, they could keep going. Just damp, but no impediment to the work because it was all undercover. But boy, did it ever make things muddy around the house. And then the place we're staying at temporarily, everything was flooded around where we were. And you can see the rain coming down from the carport as well. But the next day, the sun was shining again for a while, and they were able to get up and do the soffits around the gable ends. Here the fellas cut the board to fit, as you can see here, and placing it in place before getting it right and screwing it in. They then come back and use an acrylic sealant to cover all the gaps between the boards and to where they have screwed the board into the C channel. And they started to put up the moisture-resistant gyprock onto the porches front and back. Takes two people because the boards are fairly heavy. It's just a matter of getting them up and screwing into the C-channel so they're nice and secure. So the team seems fairly efficient, fairly quick at their work, getting large amounts done every day, which was nice to see. And then there's the boards up on the back porch. So about 2.6 ceiling, that's some of the front porch, side porch. And this is what it looks like when they've gone back with the acrylic sealant on the soffits and covered it off. So just some video of them putting the boards up, as you can see. It's just a manhandling job. I think you have to have some experience to be able to do it.
It's all done.
And then just a matter of screwing it in place. Once they've got it correctly aligned with the previous panels.
They're all in place now.
You can see the wires underneath, so they've been placed in a position where the electrician can come back after and cut holes for the lights and access the wiring. And here the fellas just going around the soffits and up in the gable ends with the acrylic sealant. So obviously it'll be painted later, and you won't see any of the sealants. But apparently, according to the ceiling fella, the acrylic is long lasting and stands up well to the weather and accepts paint without any problem, and just using the caulking gun to put the sealant in between the joints of the boards, and then he comes back after, you can see, with his finger to smooth it out so that the finish is flat and fairly smooth. And then you can see the fellow doing the same. He's up on the gable ends doing the sealant between the sheer wood and the boards, and obviously between the boards. And now you can see the ceilings on the porches are being taped, and the gypsum mud they use just hold the tape and smooth it out. So it'll be ready for painting in due course. And with all this work being done, it's you get a feeling of things coming along, and starting to come to a shape where it's you can see the end in sight, which is very encouraging. After 22 weeks living in a temporary house. Looking forward to getting into our own house with all our own things. The other milestone this week is that the tiler and his wife started on site. In Thailand, tilers render the walls in the bathrooms, not the team that renders the rest of the walls, and that's because they have a special way of doing it for laying tiles later. So here he is finishing rendering the walls, also cutting in recessed shelves into the shower. So there is double walls installed so this could be done. So the rendering is left quite rough because tiles will be applied to these walls later. Here he's cutting out the hole for another recessed shelf. He uses a chisel and just he's measured out the area and just chisels out the bricks, which he'll then later mortar in place. And there's the recessed shelf ready to be finished off. And this is the utility room. He's rendering the walls in here. So this has just got a toilet in it. It's not a full bath. It's a kind of a half bath just with a toilet and sink off the kitchen. And that's where the electricals will be, in the washing machine and some storage. So we had to explain that just the end will be tiled and the rest of the walls will be painted. So we had to go back and kind of go over his rendering. And that's just the wires after he's finished rendering. And here he's moving some pipes, some water pipes. So when they put the foundation in, they put piping in, but location isn't always 100%, so they go back later and just join the pipes and move them to where they need to be for the sink and the toilet and the shower. So you can see the blue pipe sticking out in the middle, and it needs to go down to the toilet and up to the sink. And here he's just finishing off some of the recessed shelving. And that's the other bathroom where the pipes have been moved. And the pipes again being moved. So the other thing this week was the PEA came to install the electrical cable from the mains power lines going by. This is the cable we bought, the 50 millimeter. We had to get one of the neighbors to come with his chainsaw and cut down a tree so that there was a clear line of sight from the PEA main line to our electrical post. And this work's done by the PEA staff after hours, so you pay them separately. They put the pole in and they come and connect the wires. PEA will come later during official hours to connect the power. But to get the infrastructure in place, you have to get it done yourself. And it's a PEA team that does this work after hours for extra money. So using these cleats, climbs up the pole and brings up the infrastructure that'll hold the wires. So I'm no electrician, so I can't explain all the details other than let you observe what transpired, and that was the finished work. The electrical box with the PA line in it that goes then across the road to the main PA pole. Wires are quite high because there's large trucks that go up this road because there's a water management facility up there and there's big cranes, so it had to be put extra high. And the other thing happened this week was our builder decided to bring in the macro backhoe to clean up the build site. A lot of builders rubble around, and the land had been filled around the house, and the back was higher than where the foundation level of the house was, so it need to be reduced. So the rain water was running off away from the house, not towards the house. So just some shots here of the backhoe driver cleaning up the rubble and moving things around. Not a lot to explain. It's all pretty self-evident. But I must say the driver, they're pretty good with this machine. Tight work, very accurate, and he got the land level just 100% right by the time he finished the day. He was here all from 8:30 in the morning till 5 o'clock at night, going around the house. There's one area by our carport that's a bit low, will require some more filling, but it's full of rubbish, so we'll have to wait until more towards the end of the build to get that done. You can see it's fairly muddy. I mean, when you walk on this stuff, your feet just stick to it. So there'll be a poured concrete walkway around the house for 1.5 meters wide, and then obviously we'll be planting grass and around the house. Some sod will go down for yet to be determined width, kind of 5 to 10 meters out from the house to start with, and that'll make walking around and enjoying the yard a lot easier. There's a whole other plan for landscaping to be done, but that'll keep us busy in the new year, and that's just the site foreman. We've been talking to the backhoe driver about the level that things need to be at. Quite interesting to watch these guys work. So they'll have to be back again towards the end of the build to just ensure the land is at the right level around the house for the sidewalk. So just some shots of his work as he finished up across the day. A lot happier with things now because some of the water was running towards the house and under the foundation, so not that it would affect anything. The other thing we got done this week was to put some screening on the gable vents. So the wooden gable vents that are there, they're open, so you could get bees and wasps and things coming in making nests in the ceiling. So we wanted to cover that up with a screen. So here the ceiling team got up there, put the screen in place, and used the C channel to secure it down, as you can see here. So the air can move through it, but not the bugs. And then the insulation, the builder sent us some shots that he'd ordered the insulation, and the next day there was a pile of it in the garage or in the carport. So the ceiling team got busy to put it all together and put it up above the metal framework and just rolled it out, making sure it fit tightly against the walls, cut where necessary to fit around some of the wires that are up there. So it's a R38 150 millimeter SCG insulation. So I think it's the thickest one that they offer for sale. So hopefully that'll help to keep the cool air in when the air con's on, and keep some of the radiant heat in the roof from coming down into the house. We had insulation in our previous house, and it made a big difference in terms of the heat and the air conditioning. When you turned the air con on, it would almost immediately cool down the house. It didn't have to take any length of time. So the boys said it was very itchy because it's fiberglass insulation, so while it's covered, it still was itchy. Put it in, and here's some of the rooms with the insulation in. So they're short I think 7 or 8 rolls. They haven't quite finished all the rooms. The next thing was the Cat 6 internet cabling to be installed. So the team got 200 meters and set about to put it in the conduit and down into its locations in the walls and back to the utility room. So all the internet cabling is now in place and ready to be installed towards the end of the build. So that's kind of this week's video. We're back to where we started at the beginning. So I'll just leave you with images of the macro doing his job around the house. Week 23 is next, and the inside ceiling will be the focus of getting that completed. Once that's done, I understand the skim coat team will be coming to site to skim coat the internal walls of the house to make them smooth, and that'll be followed by the painters to do an initial undercoat of the house. Anyway, thanks for joining me, and thanks for taking the time to watch the video. Appreciate everybody's positive feedback and suggestions that I get from time to time from people. Most helpful. Anyway, have a good rest of the weekend, and we'll speak to you next week. Cheers.